Sweet.
Hey,
All
we
right,
are
so
live.
then let me get. All right, sweet.
Well, I mean, you could put
Hey,
whatever
how's it
picture
going, guys?
you put whatever picture you want. Yes, folks, it's an impromptu spoiler room. See, I am such a sucker when I have any of my friends go, "Hey, you wanna talk about this movie at a podcast?" Oh, twist my arm. Uh, we are live in the spoiler room, and I am joined by a new crew member who has joined us in the spoiler room tonight. You've seen him many times on Ian's podcast where he's been doing Marvel stuff with Earth's Mightiest Critics, and he's designed to come down and slum it with us in the spoiler room. It is none other than Mike Crawley from You'll Probably Agree Reviews, and you are part of 25 Years Later, correct?
Yeah, I just joined them a couple months ago, but I didn't want to say anything until like they released enough articles where they weren't like, "Oh, actually, you know what? You kind of suck." So we're not gonna say anything. I did, but yeah,
But
I could say I'm part of 25YL, and
okay,
there's some
that's awesome.
stuff I'm still working on
Mhm.
that's coming out. But yeah, like I love working there, and I'd say if you want to see anything that's like nostalgic from 25 years ago or later, like if like for example Batman 1989 is something I know we both hold dear to our hearts.
I got
It's a
60. There you
great
go.
source to kind of check out all that stuff, especially if you love video games and Twin Peaks.
There you go.
And then
I
that's their plug, but my plug, we do. Well, I can get into that later.
well, we could talk about it. But my let's our listeners. Like I said, this is a bit of impromptu. We're definitely playing it loose. But why don't you tell my listeners just a little bit about yourself? Now, you're not just a critic; you're also a filmmaker. I mean,
Yeah,
let
so
us
I
know
should
about
tell
you.
you. Okay, sure. That was me being modest, but I mean, if you want me to get completely into my own narcissism, I can. So I make movies, knock on wood. But no, I know people like actually like hire me as a videographer for stuff, and I've worked on film sets since I was. God, I think like the first set I was on was like The Weatherman with Nicolas Cage, and I was like an extra in it.
Nice.
And yeah, it was like when he was like doing the scene where he's Abraham Lincoln. Little did I
Mhm.
know, like this next scene, he was like banging somebody, like while dressed up as Abe Lincoln. So that was fun, interesting to see that years later. So yeah, that was my first job. So I went from like being an extra to a PA on movies to, do a camera department, AD, camera, all that sort of stuff. So did that, lived in LA, and then I ended up working on Eber Presents, and for some reason, like that was like the best job I ever had, probably because they were like the nicest, sweetest people I ever met, and they totally changed my perception of what a film critic is. Because I kind of had the mustache twirling, sort of snobby image for years, and then once I got to know Roger and name drop, and yeah, and Chaz, who's just like seriously like everybody's like favorite sweet grandmother. Like, yeah, I just kind of want to get involved in that world, and becoming a film critic kind of made me want to know more about movies, because for a while I disconnected myself
Sure.
from filmmaking, because like from film school there's that kind of like snobby sort of, oh, you don't like Jean-Luc Godard, well, you don't like anything, kind of attitude. But it wasn't until like I saw, oh wait, they're guys who like movies, who are actually like down to earth, like you and Don and Ian, and I'm just gonna plug everyone from Ian's podcast, but and
David.
Donald, all those guys, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
David. It's like, oh wow, like yeah, there are people who are just like average everyday Joes, and now everyone's a critic. Which
Everyone is a critic,
oh,
indeed.
which by the way, that is a plug for a show, isn't
That's
it?
another yes. That's
That's
another plug for a
yeah,
show.
Chaz, here's your plug.
Uh,
Everyone's a critic. So check it out. I'll tell you the details as to which channel when I ask her again. But no, but yeah, that's kind of my long-winded story.
Oh, not long-winded at all. Trust me, it's,
Yeah.
at least in the spoiler room, it's not long-winded. So. And also Annie as well, the newer addition to the
Annie
greatest
Banks.
critics, which is good to have that perspective versus
Thank
just
God.
you know, yeah, right. Versus just a bunch of guys sitting around. You know, it's good to have that female perspective for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's about time. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, now we're gonna act like we're woke. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Hey, I'm just breaking balls here. So I've been watching The Sopranos. Like, I've binge watching the whole show. So
yeah. That was a show I didn't get into, but I didn't have HBO at the time because that was HBO, wasn't that, or was that yeah. That was one that was
that was
an HBO show, so I didn't have it at the time that that was on. We've got it now because you know, the direct to video new release stuff. Even though I go to the theater for some of them I'm like, oh, I'll just stay at home and watch one of them. You know, I'm glad I did that with the third Conjuring film. Anyway,
I didn't see any of the Conjuring films, so it's fine.
Well,
I was like, oh, spooky ghost stuff, cool, whatever. Looks stupid.
The second one for me was probably the most enjoyable out of any of them. With but yeah, it's not a bad series. I mean, the supernatural horror, I could see why people went towards it, you know. But you know, for me, I still just like a good old slasher occasionally. You know, one of those things. But tonight, no slashers here. Well, kind of.
Well, there's some slashing. It's like if Disney made a slasher. It's like we're talking about Disney's Grand Theft Auto.
Yes, exactly. If Disney made Grand Theft Auto, it would be the video game world of tonight's video game movie, basically, which is also great because you're a streamer as well. Mike, Twitch streamer, and Free Guy with Mr. Ryan Reynolds
again
as Guy. Did you want to try to give a little brief synopsis?
Yeah, so let me sorry, I finally got my, I don't know if this is showing up on your feed yet or not. Oh, I can start my virtual camera. Good. Look at that.
Hey, look at that.
Oh, all right.
Wow.
So, anyways, see, I'm hot now. But to summarize the film, it's literally sort of like the movie. Here's the thing that really I liked about it. I didn't love it. I was just kind of like, yeah, it's cute and it's good enough. You know, this is Pixels done right. This is Ready Player One done right. You know, this is a movie about a guy who's an avatar in a video game, and every single day it's the same thing. You know, he gets up, the bank gets robbed, and you know, he has a little back and forth with his designated black friend Lil Rel in it, because let's face it, that's basically what he was in the movie. That was one issue I took with it. I'm like, okay, they're really leaning into it. But one day he decides to not do the same thing as programming has made him do. He decided not to, you know, be like, oh boy, here I go, getting robbed and shot again. And blah, blah. He takes the sunglasses that have like these magic powers, and you can see all the cool stuff in the game. It's kind of like if they took Shenmue and turned it into Grand Theft Auto. Like, it would be like you'd be like Ryu, nice, polite guy. Oh, thank you very much. Excuse me, can you tell me where to find some sailors? To him, just taking out a machine gun and murdering sailors. You know,
lot less walking than Shenmue.
So, yeah, a lot less walking. Which I didn't even play the third one. I think I played it halfway through, and I'm like, oh my god, this is worse than the first two. How did they manage? I think somewhere Yu Suzuki said, I haven't played a game in 20 years. And yeah, you haven't. So, anyways, I think so. He basically gets on to the fact that there's programming and there's a couple involved. Well, not a couple yet, but were they? But there's this guy and girl who are in the real world involved outside of the video game, which is where I think the movie started to kind of fall apart. Not fall apart, but it didn't work as well because I didn't want this whole Truman Show like sort of angle where everybody's sitting down, they're watching their TV, and they're talking about the story, and there's these sort of hands of God that are controlling the whole thing. I would have loved to have seen a whole movie just about Ryan Reynolds, just about the Avatar and realizing sort of his existence and the meaning of it and why they're like that stuff was great. That I loved all that stuff. But that they cut to the human characters and it's just like a Godzilla movie. I don't care about the stupid human characters. Just break shit,
Just show me cool video game live action shit. That's all I want to see. Yeah. Yeah, you got the couple in there, and it kind of turns into Tron. My buddy and I, we watched this, and I was like you. I was like, it was entertaining. I was entertained. I got my money's worth out of it. I went to the theater to see it, obviously, and I was entertained. There were a number of parts where we actually were laughing like out loud, and then there were parts, mostly the human parts, that were like, oh, okay. But it really felt like Tron down to we have the couple who are programmers. They created a AI back in the day, and that program got bought by the evil corporate guy played by Waititi. So he's
Waititi, right?
Yeah, Waititi.
Did I finally get it right after failing it for years? No, I still got it wrong after 2 years.
Taika.
Anyway.
Yeah. So Taika plays the evil corporate guy, and he bought their program, and one of the two programmers ended up working for him, and the other, because it's a guy and a girl couple, that the old cliche of they like each other. Well, at least the guy likes her, and she doesn't realize it type of relationship, and they keep things professional or whatever. But anyway, she's been trying to go into the game and find her code, their code that was stolen by the corporate guy for this very popular online, as you said, Disney GTA.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Pretty much Disney GTA. And Free Guy ends up showing up, and this is a spoiler room, folks, and there's a connection later on that we find to Guy and what they created, and it gets involved there, and things ramp up, and they're trying to get ready for the sequel of this world that's going to be completely different, supposedly. And it means that life may be coming to an end to this world that Free Guy lives in, and we see how they race to try to find the secret and reveal it to the world, because the world is watching for some reason this online game, which I understand is very popular, but I don't remember it being regular programming on TV, except maybe some like
That's what's weird.
ESPN 5. It's like,
yeah, that ESPN where they're like, oh, these are athletes. It's like, no, dude, just because you're a video game doesn't make you an athlete. I'm sorry. Take it from a guy who used to weigh a lot more a year ago. Playing video games does not make you, and who also plays a lot of video games.
There's a lot of talent involved in that, but I mean, that's what was interesting about the live action world. You're right. The film pacing actually moves along quite nicely till you start getting into the live action stuff. Which, I mean, you kind of expected that was coming, but at the same time, yeah, I was really enjoying the world that Guy was in and him exploring it, and his buddy named Buddy. I loved the stuff with them as well, even though he's basically his token friend. At the same time, they have some really great moments, and I wanted more of that in this film. I wanted more of this world, and maybe him trying to open up the minds of other people in the game rather than the live action folks. Because, yeah, I mean, that part I didn't really care about.
Yeah. Because it would have been, talk about having the perfect Disney/Marvel gag. What if like the whole movie took place from these characters' perspective, and they're like, "Who's this god that's controlling us?" sort of thing, like kind of like Loki, like who's the big reveal, and it's going to be like a goof in the end, right? So the big reveal could just be like this fat guy with like Cheetos like on his chest, clicking on buttons or something like that.
Yeah, or big reveal at the end that it's just this one guy in the basement at Disney making some program.
Mickey Mouse has like some goons behind him. It's like, are you getting closer to that line? You gotta
be. Or it's a program he's not supposed to be developing, and he developed on the Disney servers accidentally. Something like that. I mean, the live action story was okay. The live action story was okay, but it really felt inserted. Like, oh, maybe we should have this. Because Ryan Reynolds, surprisingly, even though it's his style of delivery, comedic delivery that we know he has, I at least didn't feel like he was pulling a full Deadpool, copy in this one. What'd you think of that?
Well, it certainly wasn't Deadpool. It's just kind of Ryan Reynolds just being like, "Oh, I'm a dorky white guy, yay!" Like that's kind of his thing, and he's great at that. And if the role is written for an actor, it doesn't matter who the actor is. It doesn't matter how much they annoy you, how much they don't annoy you, blah 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 blah. If the role is written for him, it works,
right?
And this is a crazy example to using, Ryan Reynolds and fucking Free Guy, but I'm thinking of like Marlon Brando, like in The Godfather. He was fat as shit by his time, and then like, and he like didn't memorize his lines or whatever. He's been out of the game for so long. He gets in that movie. People are like, "Why are you casting Marlon Brando?" And it worked beautifully. Ryan Reynolds is the new Marlon Brando. But what I'm actually saying is that Ryan Reynolds, it's fit for him because he has that positive, fun, sort of yay Disney energy that perfectly fits the Disney sort of ecosystem. But,
it's an energy that that like you said, the Disney ecosystem, but even if you didn't see Deadpool, there's just a little bit underneath of, he's got just a little that twinge of sarcasm or whatever, a little bit of darkness to that, that he's very much aware he's being the geek. He knows how he is, at least. It's not like he's completely clueless of how he is or how he's acting in this film. He knows what role he's playing.
Yeah, he's it's sort of like his character knows he's a character the whole time, but he's like content with it. But for some reason, I wasn't sure why he stopped being content. I think it was just one of those spur of the moment things, and I think it worked that way. You didn't have to get in the whole psychological reason why behind the Free Guy.
It was it was pretty simple. He saw Molotov. He thought she was attractive, and right there, just the love bug caught him. There you go.
There you go. There you go. But it was cute. I felt like sometimes it forced the cute stuff a little too much. Like, especially like, before the movie starts with some of the, I went to like one of those Twitter screenings. There was just like this 5-minute video where like the director's talking and then the stars and everyone's like, oh boy, check out our film. Oh, yay. And it's just like, oh God, I feel like I'm sitting in the middle of like this annoying improv class, but after a period of time, but with the movie itself, it leaned a little too much into being kind of wink, nudge, nudge. But at the same time, I guess that's kind of the purpose of it. I'm just glad it wasn't like a sequel builder or something. It was just one movie. That was nice to see.
Yeah, even though they're already talking about it, I'm like, there's nothing in this film whatsoever that made me say, gee, I want more. It's like the gimmick. The gimmick is good. You've done the gimmick. You did a lot of great stuff in here. The problem with films like this is if you start thinking sequel, well, now you're starting to bring back the same gimmick. And while I did enjoy it, think of Hangover, folks. That beat a gimmick. That wasn't just beating a dead horse. It was beating the skeleton into the ground, making glue, using glue to put the horse back together just so that you could beat it some more.
Which is probably Todd Phillips's inspiration for the first scene in Joker, where he smashes him over the head with a. I mean, then again, did you hear why he didn't want to do that movie? Or why he did that movie? He said it was because of woke comedy.
Really?
And yeah. Well, here's the thing. I work in the comedy. I'm the director of media at Laugh Factory, by the way. Laugh Factory Chicago. Go check it out. And yeah, but I kind of see his point with that, but at the same time, I don't know why I'm mentioning that with this, but I could see how doing the same thing again and again and again and again and again can be exhausting. And if they do this with Free Guy, we're gonna, oh god, yeah, that would be really bad for this movie. Look, this is an okay movie. You don't need to make another one. It's good the way it is. They're gonna get freed. We don't need to see like the civil war amongst the characters or whatever there.
I mean, again, I bring it back to the Tron comparison because my buddy and I were huge fans of the first Tron. I mean, being kids of the 80s, but Tron was awesome. And Tron was one and done. I never expected Tron Legacy. And while I did like Tron Legacy, I thought it was a decent, I loved the visuals in that. When I watched Tron, it was like, yeah, you've done it. You've done the world in a, living characters in a video game. Cool. I don't need to see necessarily more of that world with the way the story plays. And then this one as well, I mean, I don't need to see them what they do now that, again, folks, spoiler room, after it ended and they ended up being in a happy land where they were free to do whatever they wanted. It was, of course, a good Disney ending and a happy ending. Lately, I don't mind films with a little bit cheesy happy ending because that's fine, right?
Because it ends.
Because otherwise, later on, you got to leave the theater. And then,
hey, you could always end your movie like Endgame did and just murder the entire. Which I gotta say, that was the best. That was amazing. I loved that. That's why it worked. I mean, think of all the traumatized children in that theater. It's fantastic.
Just like Endgame, where you see all the bad guys disappear. That's nice. In this one, you get really great visuals and everybody's free to do what they want, and I like that. And yeah, I really I liked all the characters he ran into in this video game world. I thought those worked well, like the barista who he convinced to make something other than the same damn coffee every day.
Oh yeah.
The guy who wouldn't put his hands down or whatnot. I mean, they're cheesy characters, but
it works for that scene because they're avatars.
Right. It works for this world we're in because we're not dealing with real people. And if you've played any video game, which a good part of our culture has, you've seen these characters in your game at one point or another.
Oh yeah. I'm just thinking of like all the characters they miss. Like they should have like the guy who's just constantly like glitching and running like up against the signpost or something like that.
Well, they had that guy. They had that guy. It was in the background. That's what I enjoyed about the world that Free Guy is in, because there's a scene early on where he's checking his bank account because he wants these shoes. Yeah. And he's saving up his money for these shoes. And of course, since he's repeating the same thing every day, he's never going to get to the actual money following the same routine. But while he's at the ATM checking his balance, there's a guy in the background glitching. He's jumping again. He's jumping against the building, and then he glitches. He's back on the ground, but his avatar, his like position is stuck, just like you've seen it. Like a lag character. It was hilarious.
He's cyberpunk, yeah.
So I mean, they add the world that Free Guy is in. That guy is in. Is very alive. It's not just the video game stuff is up front. It's everywhere in this game. in this world that he's in. And I think visually that really worked on the screen, which is, I think, also what made the real world boring to watch with the regular humans, because that was just a static scene usually, or you know, the people talking to that. Whereas in the game world, holy crap, there's stuff going on everywhere. You
Yeah,
know,
the environment's kind of dead once you get to like the little cubicles and the offices. They're like, I don't want to see this crap. Like, just go full fucking George Lucas with it and just shove all the shit you want in the background. That's so much more fun to see, because like every time it's just like spot the funny thing.
mm-hmm. Yeah, spot the stuff in the background. I always appreciate that when they're putting that stuff in there, and there's a lot of it when you're in Guy's world. You know, Free City, I believe it's called. When you're in it, there's just so much going on visually. It's like, holy crap, I can't. I will eventually, when it comes to video, watch it again, because I know there's stuff in the background in that I missed. I mean, yeah, you got the stuff in the forefront, but you know, there's a lot of great stuff in the video game world. Like when they go to get the footage, oh, it's hilarious. The data where this supposed code is, there's a path you could take to where you could find where this secret code is. And there's one guy who has seen it, played by Channing Tatum.
Yes.
Oh, it just floored me. They sneak into his lair to get the video, and he shows up. And at this point, Free Guy has built up his reputation online because everybody's been watching this NPC who they think is a secret human. This NPC building up his level, and they're like, it's got to be a human. It can't be an NPC. So he builds up his level enough so that Molotov will consider him worthy to go with her to get this heist. And they get into the lair room, and character shows up, and this had me, he had me laughing. I forget how funny he is, because I didn't like him in G.I. Joe. I thought he was just so wooden, but in here, he was hilarious.
Well, he's good at playing funny characters. I don't know. I've seen like some stuff where like they'll be like, Channing Tatum's going to be in this movie. People are like, blah, why? I think because they said they were going to cast him as Gambit or something years ago, and people didn't like that idea. I'm like, why not? He's perfect for that role. Are you kidding me? But he is, and he's so talented. He seriously, like, he could do drama like Foxcatcher. He's fantastic in that movie. Honestly, like, I think Steve Carell got nominated for an Oscar in that, and he was good. He was creepier than the way the real guy sounded, but Channing Tatum was like just equally as good. But then again, you also have him in 21 Jump Street, where he's absolutely hilarious in, and he'll make like little appearances in movies where he's just funny. Like, he just has a natural talent for it, you know. Like some actors, they try to be funny, but like they're not good at it. It's like whenever I try to see like whenever Elizabeth Banks like popped up on Curb Your Enthusiasm, I'm just like cringing, like, oh gosh, she's trying so hard. She's so nice. She seems so nice, but she's just not funny. You know, it's one of those things.
Sure.
I'm sure right now someone's gonna say like, "Oh, you think women aren't funny?" Like, duh.
No.
No.
You just don't find her funny. No, that's you know, it surprised me, because my first real introduction to him was, like I said, Duke from G.I. Joe, and he should really not have been in that role, because every time I see him when he's doing comedy, he has me laughing, and in this one, he's doing a dance, and he's acting he's acting as the avatar for this 22-year-old gamer geek who lives with his mom.
Oh, I remember that part now. I remember because I saw the movie like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
so some parts are a little fuzzy. But
sure,
yeah, I remember that. He's talking, he's acting all tough. They're doing like this whole like sort of drug exchange thing, and then at one point he like turns around. He's like, "Mom, shut up!" You know? And then he to the kid in real life.
My viewers, Mom. Here, can I get my selfie with the viewer? You know, because it's all about. They do touch on the streaming community, my Twitch folks out there, and you'll see some famous Twitchers or whatever they're called. I'm old. I don't know it. Streamers, excuse me. You'll see Twitchers.
That's Michael J. Fox.
Yeah. And so you got some famous streamers in here, but you got this one kid, and he's just hilarious. He's the one that controls Channing Tatum's avatar, and it's just hilarious. The conversation. It's kind of how you if you've ever played online games where people don't turn their mics off when they're not talking about in-game stuff. It's happened.
Don't wear a lav. Has anyone ever seen Naked Gun? That's happened in real life, actually, during like a court hearing. Some lady went to the bathroom.
Yeah. Oh,
I almost did have that happen when I was in my vacation. I had the lav on, and I scheduled it to go live. Yeah. But when I click go live, I didn't know it counted the first 30 seconds, so you could hear me like flushing the toilet or something like that.
That's just ambiance. It's setting things up.
Yeah, you know what you're getting into. This is a show that takes place in a dive bar. What do you expect?
There you go. But yeah, I loved that whole scene with the heist and with Channing Tatum and the Avatar jumping between that's where the jumping between the real world and the video game world worked, because it was the one gimmick. The kid was great. It was just hilarious from start to finish, because you're seeing part of this scene from the view of Guy, who, he's still perceiving things mostly as video game characters. So he's like, okay, he was expecting the heist to go a lot harder. And this guy's like literally just giving him the footage because Guy is such a celebrity. And it just, the whole thing where he busts into the dance. Hey, can we dance? And then he started doing poses like from
Dance Dance Revolution.
Yeah. It's just, I love that scene. But yeah, I like the montage too. I like the montage of Guy leveling up, being motivated to work with Molotov. What I thought was a little excessive, and my son agreed as well. He knew he's far more up on his streamers than I am. And
a beautiful partnership.
Yeah, so he helped educate me later on after the movie, but I recognized a couple names, but I didn't mind them showing up. I thought almost that they cut away too much to their commentary and back. It's like you said, I wanted to spend a lot more time in the video game world. I didn't. Okay, they show up once or twice, great, but some of the streamers get a lot more screen time than I thought they would, in all honesty. No offense to them, just
crutch. I think they use that to fill up time at a certain point, because it's just like, well, what do we do? What do we cut to? Just have more people reacting, because in the screenplay they probably you hit a wall, and I think that's kind of what happened at a certain point with that movie. They just didn't know how really what more to explore with this character other than sort of like the surface level stuff, because I don't think they wanted to go like full blown philosophical, what's the meaning of my life sort of thing, so maybe that's why they did it, to kind of cheese it up a bit. But it does feel a bit like the real life characters were, as you said earlier, like some kind of studio decision maybe where they're going, oh no, people don't want to see all this. But then again, like Disney kind of does let a lot of, or Marvel I should say, really lets a lot of people make decisions outside of having final cut. You're not going to get final cut of those movies. That honestly makes total sense as to why. But what was it? Oh yeah, but I just feel like it just felt like almost like someone else was making this decision outside the director to have these characters. If it was the director's decision, I really don't know why. Because this movie could have been like, it could have gone from like a 3-star film to like, quite honestly, 3.5 to a 4. If I got that.
Yeah, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with the philosophical stuff. Like I said, I love the scenes. Like when he goes, Guy has built his levels up and whatnot. And he's all like power, but something of course goes awry with all of these. Your hero who, ends up, there's problems between him and the woman that he likes. So he goes visits his buddy at his apartment, and there's this great conversation. You get part of it in the trailer, unfortunately, because it actually was a great moment between these two characters where, Guy is questioning his existence, and his friend's like, I don't really care about the answer to that. I'm hanging with you and I'm trying to help you. I'm like, wow, this is actually a great human type moment in this film. And I think there were opportunities for it to really hit more of those notes instead of, oh, let's cut. We didn't show a streamer for like 10 minutes. Now we got to show them doing commentary again.
Yeah. Instead of exploring maybe the other characters and how they mean, because you can still make it funny about the meaning of their life. I mean, you want to talk about movies that go deep with it and are still in Disney's wheelhouse. Look at Toy Story. You want to talk about deep? They nearly incinerated them. That's pretty damn deep.
I was gonna say they literally melted some toys, for crying out loud. And they
Zach
could have
Penn co-wrote this. That explains a lot.
Who?
Right? Zach Penn. He did help write the Avengers and Ready Player One. The Incredible Hulk, X2. But yeah, his movies don't go beyond a certain surface level.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, there are a lot of opportunities here. I didn't even mind, and I kind of liked the gimmick that they had initially, to where, they do kind of answer the question that's sitting out in the audience of going, why don't you just reset the server? And they actually do that. Thank you. So, although a lot of people just take it offline. Like, that was the one thing, again, going back to the human world, a lot of that felt a bit contrived in many ways, because it's one of those things where if you've played video games at all, or you don't even have to be up on technology, it's kind of like when you watch Hackers. And even when you watch the original Tron, just don't think of how those things actually work in the real world.
No, that's not how hacking works at all, apparently.
I mean, Hackers is an entertaining, wild, just campy film. Just don't think too hard of the tech being used in it. Just like Tron, the way Tron portrays programs in that, and you think about it, go, well, that really isn't the way that would work. Doesn't matter. In here, just don't think about how they could easily have just gone offline as they prepare for the upgrade.
Now you see, don't give them ideas for a sequel.
Sorry,
because they're gonna.
they might. Yeah. So someone's cruising the internet right now. Oh, hey, wait. That's a good idea.
That's it. Oh, they have to make an upgrade. Oh, wait, no, they already put that in the plot. They said they were going to have the update, and then nobody cared. No, it was a sequel, and nobody cared about the sequel. Nobody cared.
Right, everybody was still playing in the real world. And
if there was going to be an update, they could just update themselves. I don't know. No, then it would be a problem if they had an update. No, your avatar stays unless a bug happens and then it glitches out. I mean, that would suck if you're like 100 and level 100 and something Grand Theft Auto and you got to start at 0. I know. I was at 70 and I had to start at 0 and got it at PC. But I know the fast way through. Get the armored car and then go on missions. Get a lot of Uzi ammo and then like just use your controller to drive and then just use the mouse to just squeeze off headshots.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
A tip there from Mike on how to get headshots in GTA. There you go. That's how you get ahead. Oh no.
Yeah. And if you want to grab a hooker, you can grab some. Hey, goal.
They didn't have that in here.
Well, they did. I wonder, like, when they were kissing in the game, like, what was the girl doing? Was she just like making out with her screen? No, she was just looking at.
No, she was just looking. But that one was funny.
That would have been way funnier if she was making out with her screen. I would have done that.
She would have been kissing her screen.
I'm Ryan Johnson. I'll throw in all the bathos I want.
Yeah, well, it was weird though. They did kind of break their own rules because they said there was like no key for kissing, yet she was doing some actions that her character wouldn't been able to, according to them. Yeah, the controls. There wasn't a kissing scene or animation.
Character constantly walking back and forth.
Yeah, right. Here, I'm just going to bump. Here we go. Yeah. Just done. I'll turn to my head. I can turn my head. There we go. So, I mean, it does break its own rules a little bit. So, it's one of those films you're not meant to really. And this isn't a slam against it. And Mike, you've reviewed many a film, and I think you'll agree. Some films are made for entertainment. And some are for you just to escape, which this is. This is just meant to be an escape film. You aren't supposed to think really too hard on anything. Mm-hmm. Some of the things are glaring of the rules they break. But for me, I was able to forgive them a bit because I was entertained. I was laughing through this film, Ryan Reynolds is funny.
He's a nice guy and a funny guy. And he's kind of a rarity, like just how innocent. How is someone that good looking and that nice at the same time? It's not fair.
No, it's really not fair. And there's even a plug for his gin in the in the game in the background.
Can we spoil the big cameo?
Yeah, we will. Oh yeah, we'll get to the final. The final battle in a little bit, but there is a and it's even labeled blatant. It is a kind of Deadpoolish joke to where in the background there's an item that's bouncing and it says blatant product placement, and it's Ryan Reynolds gin that he had, the gin company. It's bouncing in the background as an icon, and it literally says blatant product placement.
That's funny because Ryan Reynolds always inserts his name into his own movies now. I mean, he even shot himself in the head in Deadpool 2, which that was probably the best part of the whole movie. And that came like after the credits.
Yes, when he reads the Green Lantern script.
Yeah, you're welcome, Canada. Oh, he's Canadian. That's why he's so nice.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, you get some shitheads in Canada too. You get your Justin Biebers, but then again, my life. I can't say I wouldn't be a shithead too if my life was like that. But that's
it's a whole other story for sure. Yeah. But yeah, he is good at poking fun at himself, and in this one too, I think. See, because I think that's what works in this movie for his character is the fact that he can have fun with his character. I mean, it could be easily with Ryan Reynolds where he is today, especially after Deadpool exploded, literally and figuratively. He easily could be like, oh, this role is beneath me or whatnot. But this is a fluff role that he has really good time with, and you could tell he knows what he's playing and he's having fun with it, and it's nice rather than him trying to go like all serious, like I'm going to put my all into it. He knows what type of film he's making. You're making a freaking game, a movie about a NPC coming to life and gathering the other NPCs.
Yeah, he's not Daniel Day-Lewis. That's
no,
for sure.
But he's aware that he isn't, and he takes roles like this that were fun. Because one of my other favorite parts of this actually was the fact of at one point after he becomes self-aware and he and Molotov help gather the NPCs and tell them, hey, you guys are just all NPCs, but you don't necessarily have to do what you're programmed to do. And all the NPCs like go on strike.
Yeah.
Disappear. So there's nothing but player characters. I kind of like that bit too, where they came up trying to maul people and they're doing the mall.
I mean, it's great when they just sort of, what this movie also kind of reminds me of Pleasantville a bit, where people kind of realize they were with that beyond the prisms of the dimensions that someone created for them. There's a whole other reality to be had. That makes us think, what's our reality, man? But it's all along those lines.
Mhm.
Gosh, I'm really sad they didn't go deeper. But the gags they had all worked real. Like most of them worked real well. I'm trying to
Mhm.
think of the ones that didn't. I think repeating the whole fishbowl thing was kind of the
The
fishbowl
the
thing was
the
stupid.
the fishbowl thing was a little much.
Yeah.
I think his buddy dropping the gun belt a little much was
Yeah.
done one too many times. We got the
Yeah.
idea with it when they were setting it up of how monotonous his life was.
Yeah.
I thought that was maybe a little repeated a little too much, but
Yeah.
most of the gags in the video game world worked for
Yeah.
me quite a bit.
I honestly don't quite remember what happened in the real world other than I think
Well,
wasn't it the kid? Yeah, it's that guy from Stranger Things. I
yeah.
mean, I sound like an old man saying this. I could easily pull up his name. But anyways, Thirst Boy from Stranger Things was the and I guess he had a relationship with this girl
Well, they were
and
partners. They didn't really have a relationship, but
okay.
he
Right.
really loved her, and so he had worked things that he loved about her into the video game, which apparently she was too busy on her mission to find the lost code to pay attention, though they were quite obvious.
Yes.
Until Guy shows her all the favorite things, because Guy's favorite things are her favorite things.
Ah.
Because the guy of the partnership who has a secret love for his partner, he programmed those things into the game because he couldn't say them to her in the real world. So there is kind of some relationship thing there. It was a little more cliche. And I was wondering just how far they were going to go with this relationship between the avatar of the real world person and the NPC.
I'm just thinking of so many hilarious gags they could have just played with, like, I mean, with the whole kissing scene or just any
Mhm.
other scenes where she fall, like you could just see like the girl like just making love to the computer and like the door opens and she's like, get out, get out.
They would have had to change the rating. Uh,
Yeah,
but
right. That's like that. It's not like we're doing what WB would do with it. But
this is very true.
there was one character that did really annoy me though, and that was
Mhm.
Taika Waititi's Antoine.
Mm.
Because here's the thing: Taika Waititi is a phenomenal talent. He's phenomenally funny. He's phenomenally. He's a phenomenal director. Ian Simmons and I both love Jojo Rabbit.
Oh,
Um,
I loved
there we
Jojo
go.
Rabbit.
It
I
was
was a
so
huge fan of Jojo Rabbit.
I couldn't believe that I was crying near the end of it because I was like, yeah, another movie about how horrible, the Holocaust is. Like we've seen this film, we know, but but you'd see it from the standpoint of like a kid who's brainwashed and you're brainwashed with him. So where
Yeah.
Hitler's like his imaginary buddy, you get it. Like maybe kids did have Hitler as their imaginary buddy.
I mean, if they grew up on, if they were grown up given the propaganda and the guided
Yeah.
teachings that they did, you could see how a kid would think like that. No, you're right.
Yeah, he'd be like Michael Jordan to them,
Yeah, Taika is a huge talent. I
Yeah.
don't know. I know maybe he either Ryan Reynolds got him in on it or they asked him to be in this film.
He was
You
probably
know,
just walking around the lot and they said, "Oh, hey."
because his character showed there's bits where I really liked his character, but most of it just didn't felt too played up, too exaggerated. Like there's the scene early on to where he's very much aware that one of the two people who he bought the code from, well, kind of stole, I should say, he
Yeah.
stole their code. He took it and then made it his own and claimed it was his and cut them out of royalties, which is the whole motivation of the one character. And oh god, I'm blanking on her name and his name
Millie?
both. Huh?
Millie?
Yeah, Millie.
Yeah.
Millie, she was the one who was playing Molotov, And that's why she was going for this footage, because they wanted in on the royalties because he's using their code. And so Taika's played this very, flamboyant type of over the top guy who runs this video game world. But there's a wonderful scene in here early on to where he sits down with the guy and he gets very serious and asks him to be a developer rather than working the customer service. It's a great moment. It's like, oh, okay, so this guy is just putting on a show for everyone. And then he kicks into serious normal mode. I'm like, I want to see more of that. But that's like the only scene we get like that.
Yeah. It's just, I knew I was going to have a problem, not with him, but with the direction towards his role, because when they were having the little Twitter advertisement for it, with the cast and everyone talking, they all kept going. The director kept saying, "Oh, Taika Waititi, he was just so great at improv, and we just let him go, and you're gonna love what you see." And I'm like, I remember the last time I heard that in an interview was for 2016 Ghostbusters, where the director was saying these girls are so funny, and we let them go off and do these scenes. I'm like, yes. Don't let them do too much improv. Unless you're unless you're Martin Scorsese and you're making Raging Bull and it's dramatic and it's part of the scene, don't try to do it if you're being funny. Unless you're who's the guy who did Best in Show and all that. Unless you're that guy,
Christopher Guest.
Unless you're Christopher Guest, don't do that because then when you insert a who's talking about Willis joke in 2021, dear Lord, just stop. Cut the cameras. He's out of gas, man.
Well, the improv does work sometimes, but you have to have it a little more structured. I happen to like the 2016 Ghostbusters, but even there, improv will work even on a big budget movie in short spurts. The thing is with this character is we get a lot of scenes with him, like you said, and anyone who worked improv ever, I did comedy sports in college. Some things really work, but there's a lot of stuff that won't work that you try and you picked up it's a gas, you gas the audience. So you got to come up with something and that's kind of the challenge, but you're engaging with a live audience when you're doing improv in front of cameras where everybody else has to stay silent.
Yeah.
That's got to be more of a challenge, and that's tough to do because you don't really have a way to gauge what you're doing as being entertaining, or is this completely dying? Do I need to change up my gimmick?
Well, here's the thing. It's like everyone on set is laughing. So you think it's working. Everyone here thinks it's funny. The editor thinks it. And then all of a sudden you show it to the world and they're going, Jesus Christ, will you just shut the fuck up?
So, I mean, there's parts where it's really good. I just wish they would have taken his character a little bit differently too, because, and I thought they were going to go with the angle of his character of, being the guy who doesn't really know anything at all about computers. I thought Antoine was going to be that guy. Like he's just built his entire fortune off the backs of programmers. Yeah. But then they get a bit in there where he goes, well, I did program one character. He wasn't quite ready yet, but that's getting to the climax of the movie, which is a variation of Guy. But he says he made him. I don't know if it meant that he actually made him or if he just asked for it to be made, but it was just, I didn't feel like they knew exactly what to do with this character.
They didn't. They're like, well, he's in the script now. You can't take him out. He's in this many scenes.
This guy, and he's supposed to be this this $100 million, he just so worth a lot of money because of the video games. So his solution at the very end, even as frustrated as he is, I know, is to smash the servers when everybody in the crowd goes, dude, there's a power switch. You literally could unplug.
Yeah. That's what I get. Why didn't he just refresh it?
Refresh it again, or just turn the servers off.
Yeah.
Just
Power cycle it.
Just power cycle it, just turn him completely off. So you go down for a day. This is a guy who seemed to be Antoine seemed to be a guy worried not just about his status, but money. And because he was definitely worried about sales.
Yeah. He's Activision pretty much, like
he's Activision. And yet here he kind of goes to more extreme than I think he needed to for his character. I thought he was just going to hit the power switch, but we get, I will say the way this film ended was very funny. Part of it is spoiled, yes, in the trailer with buff Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, yeah.
With the who wasn't quite finished yet. And that's the audience that I was in with just lost. They all just laughed. Even though it was in the trailer, it was still the way he delivers it. Catchphrase. It's and he was what was it? There are three things, and he mentions one thing, and then like the third thing is insert reason here.
Yeah, like the face is clearly just like a mod, like like that's not supposed to be. It's like when you watch those, like, I don't know if you've ever seen those videos from GTA Online where what was they're like on the guy's front porch and they're just doing this scene where Lamar roasts Cleveland. That was it. And it's just like, and they did it with like from RoboCop to Vladimir Putin to everyone.
Yeah, and that's what
it was a lot like watching one of those.
They definitely captured that. It was like someone made their first mod, and that's Dude, who is just a buff version of Guy. And I loved the little tattoo of the blue shirt on his pec too. It was like, and then Buddy shows up. And it was hilarious, and I couldn't believe it was a scene considering the studio this is from.
Yeah.
Buddy is greatly admiring Dude.
Oh, a bit like the John Cena scene, right?
Yeah. A bit like the John Cena scene. And he's grabbing his pecs. He's like, oh, he's just a lot better.
But he didn't go like from waist down, though, did they?
No.
It was more like he was admiring the pecs. I think pecs are okay for a kid's movie. If he was admiring the prick, that would be a little different.
That would be a little. But I mean, it was hilarious.
Or something,
It was hilarious. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I mean, Buddy, for the screen time that he got, I wish I would have seen more of Little Rel Howery, because I enjoyed how he was playing this character quite a bit. I really enjoyed his character. So yeah, Dude shows up. Obviously, Guy is all buff. My son, who wants to be a video game programmer, he had some issues with the way they designed the user interface. He said, what the hell? They got all this stuff all over the screen, because you see him with the glasses and he's
I mean, wouldn't it be above their head, like the name of your character?
You would think, yeah. But this is where Disney flexes its IPs, and that's why I put it. And for me, it worked because I mean they like get it all out of their system in this one segment battle with Dude.
It's not spread throughout the movie. It's not Space Jam, a new legacy. Michael Jordan's better. It's none of that.
No, they just do it in this one scene where they hit you with Dude comes in with a death blow. His hand just gets really huge. And he's just been beating the snot out of Guy, and he's about to hit him with the death blow, and he blocks it with Captain America's shield. And I was like,
was it. And then they cut to Chris Evans, and he isn't he like
he's in a coffee house?
Shop?
He's in
what the shit?
Which they missed the opportunity, though. They should have had him say what the shit, and they should have had a barista walk past him and go language. That was the only.
Yeah, where was that?
I was like, okay, you gave me the one punch to the gut and I'm laughing hard. Where's the finishing move? You could have easily said language and it would have even been more funny, but it's still So you're like, okay, they did the one gimmick where he's using Cap's sword, and then he comes out with a Hulk fist and he punches him,
then
and
he
the
brings out the
Avengers,
lightsaber or something.
yeah,
like
and then
that.
the Avengers music is played, and then he goes after him with a lightsaber,
and they kick in John Williams' score.
Yeah, and I'm just like,
Disney's
whoa.
just like, you like these nuts, huh? You know.
Mickey Mouse is like, I got the big nuts here.
Yeah.
I own it all.
That's like, that sounds like Mickey Mouse if he was like a 1930s gangster.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, Donald,
I give me your franchise.
You know, Donald, you owe me some money or a franchise. Your money or your money or your franchise. One of the two.
You ever see his...
Oh, are you there? I think we lost you.
There we go.
Oh, there you are.
I'm back.
Hey. Yeah. But yeah, so I was happy that they used just this one segment at a very appropriate time to where they show you, hey, we own these things. And then that was it, though. I mean,
just like how Disney tried to shut us down. Sorry, I had to squeeze in that joke. Go.
No, it's okay. But no, I was happy with that. They didn't do too much of Disney properties showing up. They did it in just this one section, and it worked really well. And it had the audience we were with just rolling. You know, Chris Evans then showing up and going, "What the shit was just icing?" It was just.
I'm still sad they didn't get to say language.
Language, though, yeah, I am sad like that. I'm like, we're the writers. Come on, guys, if you're gonna go all the way, go all the way with you know, flexing these things.
You wouldn't even think like a PA like on set would be like, should she say language? And then, don't talk to the director.
Yeah. Why are you even looking at him?
Yeah. Don't look at Michael Bay in the eyes.
Don't ever look him in the eyes.
You'll see how coked out he is.
I need more explosions. So it does end, and again, don't think too hard of how games work, and he makes it to the code, which is this huge, just dynamic world where anything is possible. And yeah, just don't think too hard, because you're thinking, why did he keep this section in the game?
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand it's supposed to be a representation of the code, but okay, but still, why is it a part of the game?
There's a lot of things in this game that doesn't make sense.
No.
I can't help but notice I kind of noticed the same thing your son did. I'm like, why isn't their icon above their head? Like, I would have no idea where to go in this game. But then again, that's kind of like GTA Online.
I mean, that's one thing. It did feel like an MMO RPG in that. It did feel like, you know, that world. They set that up well, but the way some of the mechanics and things worked in it, don't think too hard. You're not supposed to in this film. No. Just we welcome Rogue Agent Killer Rodan for stopping by. I always appreciate the support,
Hello.
Sir, for stopping by. But yeah, I mean, it serves its purpose well. I don't think it goes too long. It's fairly long, but it still moves along pretty fast thanks to the video game world. And I was entertained. I thought it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. It's funny. Like, I kept hearing, I don't know how good it was going to be. I thought nothing of it. But then I heard from, you know, our colleagues like, oh, it's really good. And I'm like, don't say that.
don't get my hopes up at all, please. I don't need any hype.
Yeah, because I know it's like hype kills movies for me. It's like, you're gonna make me expect way too much, like, and my expectations are very high, and I have no right to have them that high. But yeah, I mean, it was good. It did what it was supposed to do. And yeah, don't make a sequel, because make little shorts, make fun little shorts. That's what I'd say.
Oh, that would be great. Free Guy shorts taking place in this world or whatnot, like a short film. I would like that in little bites, not a web series, but what like kind of like what they do with Toy Story, and that you could easily put this in front of a film as a short, like a Pixar short, only instead it'd be a Free Guy short.
Yeah. You see like fun little ways in where they evolve. You know, and heck, if the story does come from about it and they do have one for a sequel, great, but let it develop. You know, do what Marvel does. Take your time, find the indie filmmakers, and you know, get them on board. I think, you know, Chloe Zhao, she went from like Miss like little indie, oh, we're out into the woods, so give me that Eternals money, you know. And that's the goal in the end for us indie guys. It's like, oh yeah, I care about the independent world. How much? Okay.
Yeah, they're sitting there going, okay, well, I'd love this shot, but we got to feed the crew. Wait, we can do both?
Yeah.
What?
Okay.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, McDonald's for wait, I don't have to get wait, it's catered?
What
it's already
toys do I have to tie to the plot?
What?
Yeah.
I don't have to do a Kickstarter. What?
Yeah. Oh gosh. You know, and I said this. There's an article about it. Oh god, it was from Robert Downey Jr. I don't know if it's still up, but he was talking about why he doesn't do independent films anymore. Ignore the sound of me typing. And it was he basically said, I don't know, like here's the reason I don't do independent films. And it's like people ask you to advertise it for you for no pay. And the movie's probably never going to be seen by anyone.
Right.
And you know, you have to talk about a movie that 90% of the time is just okay. But that was essentially what it was. It was great. It was like the most honest thing. And I'm like, you know what? He's right. I'm not saying screw indie films or anything. I love indie films. But
no, I do too. But when they get big stars in them, I mean, you know, it's always fun to see what Sam Jackson get. You know, I look at, I'm like, okay, Sam, you're Nick Fury, and in this big Marvel series for like 10 years, and in between those, you're doing the direct to video stuff. Okay,
exactly. That's the odd thing. It's like it reminds me when I was, because when we see direct to video, does that apply to the kids today? But because like as an old man who looks like who has marvelous genes, I just have to say that it reminds me a lot of like, here's the whole point of Robert Downey Jr.'s point. Whenever you walk through a Blockbuster in my days, you know, you would see the cover to a movie, and it would be this big star, like Chris Evans would be in it. And it was just a random thing. Was that worth his time to wind up on a Blockbuster shelf? No, of course not. You know, as an actor, it's bad exposure, unless it's a really good performance, great. You know, like what Tom Holland did with Cherry. I mean, that was that was the Russo brothers.
Well, you know, and look
it was also
what I do,
but for acting real, good job.
What I do like about, you know, when you see bigger names in indie films and stuff like that, you know, I do like when they try to do a role you're not used to seeing them in. You know, they're taking a risk, and you know, like look at and some of them end up getting pigeonholed because they were attached early in their career to a big film and they want to do other things. I mean, look at they did the remake of Maniac.
Yeah,
you know,
they did.
That was, I'm like, wow.
Was it good with Elijah Wood?
Yeah, with Elijah Wood playing creepy as fuck Elijah Wood. Well, because I liked him in the role he had in Sin City.
Yeah, he was great at playing like a little, like he was like a pederast in that, wasn't he?
Yeah. And he was just creepy and freaking. He was awesome in that, scary as hell. But you know, that's a bit amped up. But he was wonderful in Maniac. You know, and then you've got what's his name? Harry Potter. Sorry. but look at the roles.
Daniel Radcliffe.
Daniel Radcliffe. Thank you. Daniel Radcliffe, doing Swiss Army Guy and doing Guns Akimbo. You're like, these are these wild indie roles these guys are getting. But when I say indie, they aren't like the micro budget indie. They have a budget and production behind them at least, but they're taking roles you're not used to seeing them in. And I do like that angle when you see actors doing that they're not above doing that sort of thing. I mean, Mark Hamill finally broke the Luke Skywalker mold by doing voice acting.
Yep. Yeah. I didn't know throughout my whole childhood that was him. I didn't find out until I was like in my 30s that it was him.
Really?
I was like, yeah. And I'm like, this is Mark Hamill?
I remember I didn't realize it at first. It was one of those where I actually paid attention to the credits during Batman animated series, one of the best animated series in the world. Fight me.
Yes, it is. Hey man, I'll be by your side. Someone says like, no, X-Men is no. They don't have Mask of the Phantasm.
Yeah, I was going to say Mask of the Phantasm and the entire first series where it was Batman the animated series, that whole section. I got that on Blu-ray. That is a phenomenal series, and it wasn't just because I grew up with it. It's just really done well. But yeah, I had been paying attention one time to the credits. I'm like, wait, the Joker was what? I was a lot younger, but I had usually not paid attention to the credits, and then I did. And I'm like, that was Mark Hamill. That's awesome.
Yeah, right. Playing a bad guy and a psychotic killer, and I love it.
And I was glad that he was able to do that in a way so that kind of broke him out of the mold. So people see, yes, he is Luke Skywalker, but he can do these other roles. There's more to him than that. Yeah. And that's one thing I like about the indie stuff. Some of it, when you get these actors who got attached early in their career, somewhat early, to a big role, they can't do other things because when they show up, if your audience is going, oh, look, it's Frodo. They're going to a casting call. Someone's going to go, oh, look, it's Frodo.
Yeah. No, and here's the thing. I love it when they do indie films, but they got to be good ones.
Well, yeah.
And here's the thing. I get it. A lot of times you get a script. It looks fantastic. And then they do the movie and it stinks. But I'm like, you couldn't tell that this was bad in the script, and you couldn't tell that what they were doing was like, you can tell if the script's not good, but sometimes they win them over with these things. Sometimes I think they're favors to friends too. Like,
some of them, they're guys that they've worked on other projects before, or they were coming up together, and the one ended up exploding, and the other person is still scrounging. And so, hey, could you be in my movie? Okay, how day or whatnot.
You'll probably agree to be in my movie.
There you go. But bringing it back to Free Guy, obviously Free Guy's got the budget, and one of the last things I just want to mention about it, which surprised me for the type of film it was actually how good the special effects were in this film. I thought they
really hold up like really well, because it's a video game, but it doesn't do what Ready Player One does, where they made it look like this weird anime / 3D hybrid freak of nature thing. It was just a live action movie where the CGI looks like CGI. Who cares? Because it is CGI.
Right. But it looked really good. It was really good CGI. I mean, the majority of the effects in here looked really sharp on screen. I was very happy to see that too. That just because for the type of film it is, it didn't mean they skimped on the special effects, which you could easily see them doing. Oh, this is kind of a fluff film. It's funny, it's wholesome and whatnot. We don't necessarily need to put care into the special effects, and they do in this, I think. They give the world an identity too. You could see they gave some thought into it, and in the end, you come out smiling. But
that's the goal.
And that's the goal. I mean, this is an entertainment film. This isn't supposed to be fucking Schindler's List.
Now that would be a very depressing, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I'm sure there is a game like that. I mean, look at Liam Neeson's career. He went from Schindler's List to Schindler's Fist. Boom.
Oh, yeah. But
Who made Dice?
oh,
Ow!
I don't know. I've got on that's how old I am. I've got on VHS his first appearance on the Rodney Dangerfield comedy special.
Oh my gosh.
I've got a bunch of them on VHS. My dad back in the day, HBO. I'll yes, I know stand up is big now, but it was huge in the 80s.
Oh my god. It was like the coolest thing on earth.
It was insane, and HBO had specials all the time, and my dad had HBO, and so he'd record the comedy specials. So I've got stuff, I've got early Dice, I've got some Sam Kinison stuff, I've got just a variety of different performers that were earlier in their career. I've got the one where Whoopi Goldberg brought Billy Connolly to to the stage. It was his first American performance. Oh my god, it's so funny. It hurts every time I watch the thing. He's just, as he would put it, fucking brilliant.
It's funny. I remember the first time I saw him was in Boondock Saints.
Oh,
and I saw Boondock Saints because I saw Overnight,
right,
documentary about the guy. Yeah, because I heard about this Troy Duffy guy, and then I saw that. I'm like, oh my god, I got to see the movie he made. And the movie he made is pretty much what I thought it would be, from like some guy from Boston who drinks all the time, and hangs around in bars, but it still had its unique stamp to it, I gotta say. But I mean, yeah, I just remember seeing Billy Connolly's role, and I'm like, who is this dude? I looked up his stand-up. I'm like, oh yeah, this stand-up is fucking brilliant. Or brilliant.
He's just hilarious. Oh man, yeah. So I mean, this stand-up comedies and that. So I've got a bunch of them on tape like that. And you mentioned Dice. That's what brought me back. Is I got the when he first premiered on HBO. Before that was just when he was on the rise. There was another guy who did Punk Magician. It's freaking hilarious as well. Rodney,
there was some magician called Mike something, and he was great. I can't remember his name. Anyway, don't worry. Never mind. There's a documentary about his life where like him recovering from drugs and stuff.
Oh wow!
Funny.
Well,
yeah, it's really funny
80s?
documentary. No, this is like today.
Oh,
he was like this magician whose tricks always failed, and he was like this sleaze bag.
Oh,
that's kind of like his character. Yeah.
Wow. Well, there weren't sleaze bags in Free Guy, so
no, that was the one thing. It's sleaze bag free.
It is. It was considering. I mean, because it is Disney, but I was like, this is probably the cleanest online game I
know. You don't see people you don't see little kids like yelling racist things to each other.
Right. You don't have at least one character named D's Nuts,
Oh yeah, it's funny. Like now that I've switched from like console to PC, I kind of do both now. It's like, oh wow, you can just have whatever username you want, and yeah, I mean you could tell by some of the names, right? Oh. Some of them are funny, some of them.
Oh yeah, some of them are creative. Other ones you're just like, oh, okay.
I don't know. I should just make up a username that's highly controversial that doesn't even reflect who I am. I'll just write something that says COVID's fake.
Well, you did. You had that in Free Guy. You had was the one guy that guy confronts the one bank robber. And that's where he gets his sunglasses the first time.
Yeah.
And it's this big burly biker guy. And then they cut to real world who it is. And it's just this little girl.
Yeah. Little misdirection.
It's got this little misdirection, which I liked quite a bit. I thought that was humorous. And of course they cut away just before she swears. So, you get that gimmick in here. But yeah, a lot of the gags work in Free Guy. It is what it is. It gives you what the trailer promised. It's not a deep film, but it was fun. It's entertaining. I think sometimes we forget that films sometimes are just made to have fun.
I think that's a great point. Sometimes movies don't have to have sequels. They don't have to, uh, I think there's a lot of cynicism in maybe some of our movies too today that, you see that there's sort of this one kind of had that Bill and Ted energy where it's like it was all positive vibes and just people being nice to each other. And it's like I kind of miss seeing movies like that.
Even when it gets to a little bit of I put it in heavy quotes, bold quotes, darker moments, it's still fairly light. It's still and you're right. We got a lot more of these films in the 80s, in all honesty. We got a lot more of these types of films that are not saying we didn't have cynical films in the 80s, but it just nowadays for sure, and I understand part of it's with money and all this, but still, even in horror films, I actually am surprised when you see a horror film that's got a happy ending, and it doesn't open it for a sequel already, but it ends someone that you wanted to survive actually survived, and there was no last minute kill or no last minute downer, or they failed. You find out they went through all this and still failed. No, it ends happy. Overlord was like that. The closest thing we'll ever get to a Wolfenstein 3D movie, Overlord was like that, to where it ended, and I was like, oh my god, it ended on a happy note.
Wow.
I'm like, am I watching the right film? And it's a great film.
I gotta see that one now. I want to see a slasher that just takes place from the serial killer's perspective and no one else's.
Oh, there you go. That would be very cool. Maniac is close with the one.
That's what I was thinking. What about one about Michael Myers and the whole thing is just through his mask?
Connected here to our movie. Did you see The Voices?
No, I did not.
Oh.
Is that
with Ryan Reynolds? Ryan Reynolds, just you watch that.
I thought you said you had voices in your head.
No. Well, I do have voices in my head. But the movie called the movie called The Voices. Highly recommend it. It involves Ryan Reynolds. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would, and I watched it mostly for him, and also I'll admit it, Anna Kendrick. But
okay, yeah. Mine right now is who plays Sylvie in Loki. She's like mine right now. Yeah,
but yeah, Free Guy. We'll wrap it. Yeah, Free Guy. We'll just wrap it up. I see it. I watch it again. It's nothing. There's nothing in here too controversial where you can't sit down with younger folks to watch it. They're going to get a kick out of things, and it hits where it's supposed to, and we do. I try to get off my soapbox, but I'll just say, I think a lot of the focus from producers are on money or trying to be edgy so they stand out. And, it's okay to make just a fun film like Free Guy. It's okay to have more of these occasionally, these escape films that at the end, I don't feel like I want to throw myself off a bridge.
Right. You're not getting the DC verse of sadness.
No, I mean, I like DC, don't get me wrong, but even Marvel had its points too, where you're watching this going, well, that was kind of bleak. I mean, it ends with the good guys, but at the same time, you're still like, ugh.
If you think about Captain America's entire story, it's kind of depressing. Like the guy never got to see the woman that he loves, served his country the entire time, and then the one time he goes to fall in love with Peggy Carter, probably bad things will happen because the guy can't catch a break.
No, you feel bad for him. Actually,
it's kind of a downer. I mean, Endgame, we know what happened.
Right.
Or not Endgame, the Infinity War. We know
Infinity
what
War.
happens.
Yeah.
And then Endgame, it's funny, but it's still after a lot.
There's still a major sacrifice and loss, I mean, I think some of my favorite Marvel films are the more upbeat ones or the odd ones. That's why I enjoyed Ant-Man. Ant-Man, those are fun. Even when they get kind of serious, they're still fun. Yeah,
well, and the Marvel movies know to keep it light because I mean they they make it, they're insistent on keeping it light. The one coming up, I can't say anything about it, but never mind. I
the most
I don't know if I can say my opinion on it or not. Like,
which one? I've seen some people already make commentary online about it.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if there is embargo or not, but I've seen good things about that. I'm kind of looking forward to that because the trailers honestly didn't do anything for me.
Yeah, it's way better than the trailers.
Which is great, which is fine, you know, and that's good. I hope so, because the trailers really, I watched those going, especially when they'd play that trailer and then they'd play the Snake Eyes trailer back to back. It almost felt like,
it's like you're seeing the same movie.
It was the way the colors were and the way it was directed and everything and the way they flowed together. It almost felt like the same movie. So I was like, oh, I hope it's better than Snake Eyes.
You'll see why, but it's the choreography mostly. But
right.
But I don't want to say anything and get in trouble.
No, that's fine.
Nothing spoiler wise.
Right.
But having said that, it kind of I was talking about that, mentioning that movie because it just proves how Marvel knows how to put in.
Well,
and even knows what it is. It knows it's stamped that.
Nope, I think I lost you there.
If it works, it works. Oh yeah, sorry, it keeps going out.
That's okay. But yeah, we'll end it here. And just to throw that in, because I am the hashtag DC shill, as I was deemed by someone. No,
I don't even know what a shill is.
I'll say that the ones that I found the most entertaining with the DC films are the ones that embrace or go a little lighter. They don't necessarily go heavy. I enjoy all the films, both Marvel and DC, but I'll definitely say like the Shazam and the Aquaman, definitely I enjoyed a lot more.
I like Shazam. Aquaman was really long.
It was long.
Yeah,
I will fully say it was long. I still enjoyed it, but I will say it could be trimmed.
Yeah,
but
Aquaman became that. Remember when they were making fun of that? I hate the show, but I remember they made fun of having an Aquaman movie on Entourage. You know?
Oh yeah.
And then it became real life. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So go see Free Guy, folks, or you can wait for rental too. I mean, it is a spectacle. There is a lot going on, and seeing it on the screen, I'm glad I did, because you can see when you get in that video game world, even before he puts the glasses on to see the icons, there's a lot going on, and it was shot with being on the big screen in mind. So I would say if you do get a chance, see it. You know, you can go to a matinee, but still see it on the big screen if you can, because there's a lot of visuals on here that were made specifically for the big screen.
You'll miss details otherwise, and it's not like that. It's not like Ready Player One or Space Jam where it's just CGI vomited all over the screen. Like, there's actual intention and purpose to what's going on in the background, and just check it out again for the Easter egg.
Oh yeah, definitely for the Easter eggs. And if you're a gamer, you'll definitely catch probably a lot more than I ever did. That's for sure. So, well, thank you, Mike, for coming to the spoiler room and wanting to talk about Free Guy. It's always good to talk to you, sir. And shill is basically where you're selling something. So as with the spoiler room, I give my guests the license to shill.
You're like the barter on the street. Please, my friend, very good price.
Come right in and see the lovely ladies here. They're lovely. Yes. So it is a license to shill, sir. So you plug away and promote whatever you'd like. The floor is yours.
Okay, so if you'd like to come and check out the Laugh Factory, go to 3175 North Broadway Street in Chicago, Illinois. And over there, there's live comedy every single night, hot shows. You'll have a blast. Having said that, I wasn't going to plug that, but I did anyways, just because I like them. So I will my show and my website. Go to ypareviews.com. The YPA stands for, as you can see on my beautiful beautiful picture there. You'll probably agree. And also I do some stuff for 25yearslater.com. I do everything on my end, from written reviews to podcasts to video stuff. And now I'm starting to do some live stream. So yeah.
Nice.
Just
oh,
cool. Well,
cool.
thanks for having me on. I love this awkward silence.
Well, you're getting the lag there a little bit, so I was waiting to hear you again. So
I know, it's, you know what, Mac beats PC in this one. I'm using this on PC. Mac wins over PC on this one. When it comes to the internet, I don't know why. Just it stinks with Wi-Fi with PC.
Ooh, yeah, Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it stinks. Sorry.
That's why I go wired with my PC. So thank you. Yes, check out You'll Probably Agree and all of Mike's great stuff. You can also hear Mike on Earth's Mightiest Critics, where he's on with the show with the gang there, where they're talking right now the What If series. So I got to plug that out to shout out. They're kind enough to have me on there occasionally, but definitely check that out every week. Going on now for every What If show. I've got to check out the most recent one because I had a lot of blast with the second episode of What If. So
I did too. It was great.
And so
Howard the Duck for life.
Oh yeah, Howard the Duck animated series. We need that now. Hashtag Howard the Duck.
Hashtag reboot the duck.
Reboot the duck. I'm
actually not even reboot. Make it canon. Make it
there
canon.
You go. Well, I will say it's canon.
I want my duck tits to be canon.
Have a good night, folks.